This Raw Vision video is brought to you by Metro Solar, proud partner of the Richmond Football Club.
Far away.
Well, Jim, 20 minutes ago, North released a statement saying that they'd had approval from the AFL to arrest 8 to 10 players this week. What's your reaction?
Oh, listen, I think every probably side, and we're very similar, is trying to do their best to prepare themselves for the following week. You know, North's ladder position realistically probably can't change, so, you know, each side will do what they think is right to get the best performance out of their players. So that's their decision, and one I think I'll leave that up to them.
An integrity issue at all, do you think?
Oh, I don't think so. I think, you know, from all I can do is worry about our players and get our players to perform to the best of their ability, so we'll have some decisions as well.
Is it frustrating though, because their ladder position actually can change, and trips interstate and that sort of thing, that the AFL would give approval to something like this?
Well,
obviously
I think,
a very different situation.
Yeah, listen, I can't comment of what North's decision making is from that point of view. All I can do is prepare our side as best as I can for us.
Does it convince you to maybe rest a few?
Oh, listen, we've got some players. We've got match committee this afternoon, obviously off the short week, so we'll be making decisions this afternoon, but you'll have to wait to selection and see.
Has it popped the idea in your mind though?
Crikey's one thing. What's that?
Has it popped the idea in your mind though?
Oh, listen, we're, like every week we make these decisions about whether a player's right to go or not right to go. So from that point of view, nothing really changes from those decision makings that don't happen on a regular basis for us.
Is it dangerous flirting with form though?
Yeah, well, I probably learned a saying from Dennis Pagan back in the day that you don't flirt with form. So look, that's something that is in my philosophy and that we'll probably take on board.
How do you feel about the prospect of, I mean, if you win, the most likely scenario is you play them again next week. How do you feel about playing this week with 10 out and then 10 fresh blokes coming in next week?
Oh yeah, I think from our point of view, even those 10 players that if they do bring in, who knows what they do with their selection, as I said, but North Melbourne play the same style. You know, the players that come in, we expect that they'll play a role and they'll play a similar type of game that they normally play. The personnel will be different, but, you know, for example, if we bring in 3 or 4 players, the style will be the same. So we know how they play. Whether or not we're good enough on the day to stop it, we'll have to wait and see.
Have they kept you in the loop as well as the AFL?
Not from our point of view, no.
Do you show your game plan though, like knowing that you're going to come up against them the next week? Any tricks you keep up your sleeve?
Yeah, I think that's probably, you know, the ducks and drakes of it all from our point of view as well. You know, depending how the result goes, whether we do play them next week. But what we'll be doing is trying to perform our best this week and get the 4 points. You know, from our point of view, every win's valuable. You know, seals ladder positions, and we'll move on from there.
Koch and play?
Yeah, Koch will come back in and play. So, like we said, he was touch and go last week, and we probably were a little bit more conservative. So he'll come back into the side.
And Deledio, how's he pulled up this week?
Yeah, he's fine. So he'll train today. You know, we're probably pretty lucky in that regard. And, you know, Brett, to his credit, bounced back in pretty quickly. So, yeah, he'll put his hand up to play.
And the suspension, what do you think about Courtney Dempson?
Oh, yeah, it's a difficult one. My thing is with Courtney, he didn't actually mean for that action. It's just one of those things that transpires in the course of the game. So, look, the AFL, I think, make a pretty good decision with regards to that. It's not something we want to see, but in fairness, as I say again, it's not something I think Courtney would have deliberately gone out to do. So, the penalty's a penalty.
Is the system flawed though? I suppose like fans would have been hoping to turn up for a match at both sides at full strength, and they're going to get there now, and it's not going to be the real thing.
What, Friday's game?
Friday's
yeah,
game,
well,
right.
End of the day, I can't control that. That's something you'll have to take up with the league. From my point of view, we just put our side out there and play the best as we possibly can. And look, North will be doing that as well.
Reece Conker, where's he at?
He'll probably be another week away. Train fully Tuesday. He'll train today, later on today, and then have another session on Saturday. So he'll probably be available to play next week. The decision for us, he hasn't played a lot of football at all this year. I think he's only played 4, possibly 5 games. So, but as we said, he's a very capable player.
Other than securing the 4 points, what do you want to see from your team? Is there any little flaws that you need to iron out?
Oh, there's always things that we're looking to improve. You know, even from our, our goal kicking last week was probably not to the standard of play that we'd like. Our re-entries inside 50 weren't great, so we'll work on a couple of things that, you know, as a coach, you're always looking for perfection. You're probably never going to get it, but the higher you set your standard, you certainly get close. So we'll continue to work on those things and get the result we're after.
There's a few stats about Dusty in today's paper, that he comes off the most out of all of your midfielders and he's one of the most in the league. Do you treat him any differently to any of your other players, or is it just one of those things? A bit of a
I think, you know, most players know their optimal rotation level, if that makes sense. You know, Dustin, for example, we know we get the best performance out of him when we get a certain amount of rotations into him, and he plays his best footy when that occurs. You know, we can keep him on the ground for longer, but his output we feel will decrease, and we like to keep him fresh. He's a power athlete, a bit like Paddy Dangerfield, those type of players that the more you can give them rest, whether up forward or through the midfield, you get a better output out of those players. So yeah, he's probably got a different output level. I haven't seen the article that you talk about, so I'm not too sure, but from some of our other players, that's for sure.
Is that what you did with him last week? You seemed to sort of park him up forward for most of the game. Was that for a bit of a rest, as you say?
Not so much a rest. We probably felt we get an advantage from him playing forward. We probably lacked a little bit of grunt up there at stages last week with the wet game, and it probably didn't work out that way. He didn't have his greatest game last week, so hopefully he'll come out angry this week and play a blinder for us.
In your head, do you think you can make the top 4 still?
Yeah, well, we're still aiming for it. Until that door closes, we'll continue to play as good a football as we can, and I know we've got to rely on some other results, but stranger things have happened in the game of AFL footy, there's no doubt about that. So as far as we're concerned, that door is still open and we're still aiming to put our foot through it.
Do you have one eye on the week after as well, I suppose, the first week of the finals?
Oh, you always have going forward, that's the art of what we do. Is we're certainly firmly entrenched in this week, but there's no doubt, even from round 20 to round 21, we've got an eye looking at the future as well. So that doesn't change from week to week. Look, probably the one difficult thing is we're not quite sure how our opponent. We've got a high probability we know who that's going to be, but the fact of the matter is we've got three other sides that we could be playing. Could
be relying on results, as you say. It could be back to Adelaide. Even how keen are you to avoid that one?
Oh, it's fine. Look, no side holds any fear for us. We know if we play our best footy, we're capable of beating anyone. Look, granted, we met Adelaide on a great day for them last week. We played, poorly. They played, an outstanding game. They won the contested ball by 30, the clearances by 20. We're quite lucky. In theory, we'd ended up getting belted by 70 or 80 points, but defensively probably hung tough from that point of view. So, look, we go back there, and if we do go back there, we look forward to it. We're looking forward to a bit of redemption from that because we're really poor in that game.
You've got a great record against top 4 teams. Do you think this year more than any is the year that a team outside the top 4 could go all the way?
Yeah, I think proof will be in the pudding. I think the competition is very even, as we've seen. Any side is capable on any given day of beating another side. That's even from the sides, 8 through 13, really. The fact of the matter is, if you don't come to play, you're going to get beaten. And mentally, I think the game's almost as important as physically these days, if not more so. So we've got to make sure we come and we prepare well, which we have, and look forward to putting out a good performance on Friday night. Thanks, guys.